Newcastle Entertainment Centre, and the news here today is that No Limits and Main Event are headed back to Newcastle, where there have been so many famous nights over the years, and it will be for an Australian Super-Welterweight title fight between the defending champion, the Bow Desert Storm, who is Dylan Biggs, and Nikita Tszyu, the star on the rise of Australian boxing. The date is a Wednesday night, the 22nd of November. Of course, you'll see all the action on Main Event, which is available via Foxtel and KO. Joined here today by both of the fighters, as well as one of the promoters of this event in Matt Rose, and we'll have a chat with the fighters very, very shortly. But to repeat exactly what's going on, it's Dylan Biggs 10-0 with 7 stoppages against Nikita Tszyu 7-0 with 6 KOs, fighting for that Australian Super-Welterweight title belt, which is currently held by Dylan Biggs. Matt Rose, exciting to be coming back to Newcastle first and foremost. No Limits had such a great time here over the years, as well as, of course, the Tszyu family.
Oh yeah, definitely. Newcastle, which is what it's known now by us, has been a really exciting venue to stage some really big fights. I know Tim had some really big fights here. Nikita last fought here a bit over 12 months ago in our Super Saturday. So we were really keen to come back. It's taken us a little while to get back here, but to finish, I guess, Nikita for the year on a big Newcastle show is something that I think the Newcastle fans will really enjoy. It's definitely a matchup that's been talked about for a good 12 months.
The start of the Tim Tszyu journey was really that fight against Joel Camilleri when he took the Australian title. Do you see this fight for Nikita being the legitimate start of his journey?
Oh, look, absolutely. It's a significant fight, but I think Nikita's path has been a little bit different to Tim. He's been in the spotlight for a period of time now, and headline shows, and this fight's probably a real step up in class. It's a fight that you've got 2 of the hottest prospects in the country looking to go head to head early in their career. You know, 7-0, 10-0. Someone's going to get a loss out of this, and I mean, the fact that Nikita's stepping up so soon to that, I think Tim was around about fight 12 before he took on the Australian title. So it is early in his career, but his progression has been unbelievable. So he wants this fight. It's an exciting fight. I think it's a fight for the fans, and I think people are going to be blown away by the experience on the night.
When Dylan Biggs blew out Ryan Mitchum on a No Limit on Fox card, and this was the plan off the back of that. Were there any thoughts at the No Limit office, perhaps we go a different way with Nikita and we avoid a man who is obviously very dangerous in this division at the moment?
I think that's what we like to do. We like to challenge our fighters in fights that are going to progress their career. Was this fight thought about on how difficult it'll be? Absolutely, Ben. It's a fight that we've thought long and hard about, but at the end of the day, Nikita Tszyu fears no one. When he turns up in the ring, he turns up to win, and he knows how tough this fight's going to be. I know what Dylan brings, and I seen his performance last time, which was, you know, quite scintillating. You know, he's explosive, he hits hard. They're very similar like that, and I think style-wise, I think both fighters will be backing themselves to win.
What are people saying to you in Australian boxing about this fight? Because obviously everyone has an opinion, but people seem to be a bit concerned about what's going on with Nikita going in against someone like Biggs.
Yeah, look, they've done that before with Tim. They've done it with Nikita. They tend to question, you know, where they're at in their career and why they sort of progressing like they do. But I think for boxing in Australia, we're at a point now where these fights need to be made, and they need to be made for TV, they need to be made for the public, and the fact that they are doing it like they are, I take my hat off to both fighters. I mean, the wonderful thing about this too is it's for the Australian title. The Australian title should mean something, and I think the fact that both these young fighters are gonna show that the Australian title is something that has a long history, and you know, it's something that should be fought for by the best 2 fighters in the country in that division. I mean, Tim's obviously gone on the world stage. There's a number of other fighters that are world ranked, but these 2 guys are the best 2 super welterweights in the country, and it's going to be exciting.
We've got a fight day, of course, on Sunday week with Tszyu against Brian Mendoza, so a lot of eyes on that. But can you give us any hints as to what is going to be a part of this undercard here in Newcastle on the 22nd of November?
Yeah, look, we're looking at a number of local Newcastle matchups, but we're also excited to bring Isaac Hardman back on the card. Isaac had a dominant win recently and is excited to get back in the ring. I know he's happy to call out anyone in the country in the middleweight division. So we're excited to get Isaac back on the card. Kiki Latelli, was in one of the fights of the year most recently. He'll look to get back on the card. So we're looking to have heavyweights. We're looking to have the super welterweights. Basically every weight division in the country we'll look to have.
All right, well, these always sell out pretty fast here in Newcastle when No Limit does come to town. Any idea of tickets for those who are watching and where they can access them and when they go on sale?
Yeah, pre-sale, 2 p.m. this afternoon, Ticket Tech, and at 4 p.m. we'll go on general sale. So, look, tickets will be snapped up. We've never had a Newcastle show that hasn't been a sellout. We know that the Newcastle fans love it here. So get in early, 2 p.m., followed by a 4 p.m. general sale.
Thanks so much. That is Matt Rose from No Limit, of course. We are here today to announce that Dylan Biggs is defending his Australian title against Nikita Tszyu. He stopped 6 of his opponents. And Nikita, you've come to Newcastle wearing shades. Is that because your future appears so bright?
It's the damn lights. They don't take any consideration into us.
Nikita, tell us about this fight, because it's been talked about for some time. You challenging Dylan Biggs for his Australian title. Why is it a fight that's important to you?
We have a bit of history in the past. Dylan was one of the probably toughest sparring partners I had in the early parts of my career. In the first 4 months of my career, we kind of had a sparring session and he got the better of me. He dropped me with a punch that didn't necessarily hurt me, just kind of caught me off balance, but it was a good shot and I learned a lot from that sparring session. That sparring session kind of put me into a mind state that I had to really kind of focus on my tactics, and I can't just be trying to walk through everyone and just relying on power. I honestly praise him for that sparring session, because I learned so much about myself and so much about the sport that I love, that there's levels to this, and you can't just come in with no game plan. You have to be prepared, and this is something that he's done to me, and I knew that this fight would eventually happen, so I've always kept that kind of sparring session in the back of my head. Even when I'm preparing for other fighters, I have a specific tactic that I'm kind of working against, but I always keep in the back of my head how to work against Dylan, because I know that we're going to meet each other in the future, and I know that I got to get the better of him.
The gym stories are that it was a more significant punch than what you've just said there, that in fact you were hurt. Are you saying that it was, just a flash knockdown?
To kind of describe it, I was kind of just walking forward, no defense. I was already quite fatigued. It was, I think, like the 5th round or so. And at the start of my career, I always had like a little bit of health issues, kind of battling with my feet, kind of learning about the sport again. I had 8 years off, and I was kind of just dumped into the deep end. So I was learning about fatigue of the body, and I was, in a no kind of thinking state, and just kind of got dropped.
I might bring in the Australian champion Dylan Biggs here. Dylan, I know the etiquette is not to talk about sparring, but Nikita's brought it up. What did happen that day?
Yeah, look, pretty much what he said is what happened. It was a well-placed shot, and I guess he wasn't ready to defend it, but he got up and we kept going, so there's not much to think of it.
And do you consider that Nikita remains vulnerable to you, or do you think he has progressed significantly since then?
Oh, I think we've both progressed significantly, but at the end of the day, everyone's vulnerable to an extent in this sport. Everyone's got a puncher's chance.
And does that moment itself give you extra confidence going into a professional boxing fight against Nikita?
Oh, I'm confident in myself and my abilities, but it was a long time ago, so I don't take anything from it.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So we've both progressed extremely. So yeah, take it with a grain of salt. We're both going to be in extremely great conditions. We're both ready. He's the champion. He's achieved a lot in the sport already, and again, like as you said, we're two hot prospects in the country, and we're doing stuff that usually people don't really want to do, is putting their O's on the line.
But even so, it's going to be something that's present in your mind going into this fight and preparing for it.
Yeah, of course. It's a level of focus that it's put into me, like a fire that's burning inside. Like I've known that this fire's kind of been in the back of my head for like the last 2 years, so I knew that this moment would come eventually. And I've always believed that in the greatest pressures in life, that's where I really shine, and that's where most people shine. In the moments where they're in like the shits, that's where you really see who comes out and who doesn't.
Dylan, are you surprised to hear that Nikita has thought about that moment so much? I'm sure you've been watching his journey. It's been very prominent. Did you imagine that he was thinking about you and that shot so much?
Not really in particular. To be honest, I've been focusing a lot on myself for the past 2 years, but same as him, I've known this fight was coming, and I've been preparing for it basically in the same ways, I'd say.
So the first time you saw Nikita on TV, you thought, it's inevitable, I'll fight him at some point?
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely something we've been prepping for a long time, and we've known the fight was on the horizon. We just didn't know how far away it was, and when the chance gets thrown at us, we jumped at it.
I've seen your camp speculating that they've run away from this fight a couple of times, that you thought it was going to happen and then it didn't for whatever reason. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, there's been a few times when we've been offered the fight and we've said yes, and then they've decided to go another way. But at the end of the day, I understand that there's a lot of politics in the sport, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that we don't really get to see.
Do you think that's maybe because they thought he wasn't ready, or because you were looking too good? Do you have any take on that?
Oh, I'm not too sure, to be honest. It could be, could not be, to be honest.
Look, as fighters, it doesn't really bother us. I didn't get any news about the fight with Dylan. It's all the management. Like, I don't really get asked who I'm fighting, who I want to fight. I just kind of get told. And again, this is how he said, it's the politics, it's the business of the sport. We're here to just fight, and we don't really care who. And yeah.
But if you were asked now, Nikita, would the person you most want to fight be Dylan Biggs?
Of course. It's going to be a pivotal moment in my career, and kind of like a weight lifter off my shoulders. That's how I see it.
It's clearly meant a lot to you, that sparring session. It's something
It is.
you need to get rid of.
There's another fighter, Sergey Vorobyev. He's fighting on Tim's card. He's also gave me a tough sparring session, and him and Dylan are the two people that have really made me kind of think about tactics, like immensely. And yeah, it's these kind of things, they stick with you. And I'm someone that's a bit of a perfectionist, and I know that I got to get the better of him.
Dylan, you were ringside for Nikita's most recent fight against Jack Brubaker. What did you think while you were sitting there, knowing that this was a distinct possibility that you would face him? What were you making of what was happening in that fight?
That's a good question. So I would say that Jack Brubaker is very skilled, and as where he's got in his career, he's very successful. But he's not on the bigger end of the super-welterweight division. I'd say he's probably on the bigger end of the welterweight division. So I didn't take too much from the fight. I'd like to see him fight someone, like obviously such as myself, who's on the similar size and weight comparison as Nikita himself.
So, on the back of your most recent performances, who do you think's the favourite in this fight?
I think I should be being the Australian champion, being the A-side, but I think he's got the fan base, and I think it's gonna, if anything, it's gonna help my career, him being the A-side, like on the popularity status.
Does it matter to you that his name's first before yours on the poster up here?
No, it just makes it all better when I beat him.
Nikita, it is for an Australian title. It's something that clearly was a massive step in Tim's career. It's a massive step in so many professional boxing careers. What would it mean to you to become the Australian champion?
I achieved the status of being the best in the country 4 times as an amateur. So this is my 5th attempt at going for it, and it's a beautiful feeling being known as the Australian champion. And yeah, I had the chance of being the best in the country 4 times as an amateur, and I'm ready to climb the peak of Kosciuszko again.
And Dylan, what does it feel like being the Australian champion? Because it seemed to mean a lot to you when you received that belt for the first time.
Yeah, it was a big step in my career, but at the end of the day, it's a title and it means a lot to a lot of people, but I'm more excited for the fights that title brings.
What do you see as the opportunity in this fight? Is it to put your name around even further? You got a taste of that on television last time out, but this is a major opportunity. Do you see this as sort of a breakout moment for you in your professional boxing career?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely it's going to be a good show of my skills. Hopefully, this one will go a fair bit longer than the other one, but I'll take what I can get, and hopefully it'll push my career to the next level.
And what do you see as the next level for you? Where are you headed in your professional career, and how far are you going to go?
Like Nikita said earlier, we're all under management, and we get told where we're going and who we're fighting, so I'll take it step by step.
Nikita, Newcastle's an important place for the Tszyu family. You've fought here, but you haven't headlined here as yet. A huge opportunity for you, and it must be exciting for the whole family to know you're coming back to Newcastle.
It's been 12 months since we've been back, and I'm full of joy and happiness just to be back in Newcastle. The fan base around here is something that I haven't experienced elsewhere. Like, Sydney is my home. I love Sydney, but the Sydney crowd just doesn't compare to the Newcastle crowd. So I'm expecting electricity, I'm expecting rowdiness, and just a fantastic night.
Busy time for all of you at the moment. Tim fighting next week, and now you preparing for this big event. It's all happening for the Tszyu family.
Yeah, we've got 2 big tests in front of us, and we're going to have 2 great victories as well.
Who do you think's the favourite? I asked Dylan, but what do you think? If they were setting prices, who would you have on top in this fight?
I couldn't care less who the favourite is. Out of respect, I'd give it to Dylan. He's achieved more. He's got the Australian title. I'm the challenger. I couldn't care less if my name's in front or his is in front. I'm here for the fight.
All right, well, we'll end with early predictions. What do you think happens in this fight, Nikita?
Look, these predictions, I don't know. I don't know if any of us boxers actually like giving these predictions. You can see he's shaking his head. It's going to be a great fight. That's what it's going to be. There's not going to be any predictions. We're going to fight our hearts out. Dylan's going to be fighting his heart out. I'm fighting my heart out. It's going to be a moment where we're like two Spartan warriors kind of battling to the death. That's how I see it.
Dylan, your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, I think the same as Nikita. Predictions aren't a very good thing, I don't believe. I think we're both going to bring our best performance, and we're going to leave everything on the table and put it all on the line.
All right, we'll get these 2 fighters to face off now for the very first time over here as we make it official that the Australian Super-Welterweight Title Fight will take place here at the Newcastle Entertainment Centre Wednesday, the 22nd of November. You'll see it live on Main Event Television, available via Foxtel and KO. It's all brought to you by No Limit Boxing Promotions, and it is Dylan Biggs and Nikita Tszyu. I'm Ben Damon. Can't wait to see you at the fight.
Well, there you have it, folks. Nikita Tszyu and Dylan Biggs will do battle for Super Welterweight Gold on November 22.
Good boys.
Stephanie, it's great to have your company once again. And, Nikita, he's ready.